in universities, for every one conservative professor, you know how many are liberal? 12.
12. Yeah, I seen you talk about it. Yep.
12 to 1. That's a monopoly.
Yep.
If that was a business and a company, for every one coffee being sold and McDonald's sold, if Starbucks sold 12, they're getting shut down because it's a monopoly.
Yeah.
And they have to be split apart.
Yeah.
Universities have a monopoly. Now let me go to schools and high schools, K through 12. They went and monitored teachers based on which political party they gave money to and they donated to. Wait till you see these stats here. English teachers, 97 gave to the Democratic Party, only 3 to the Republican Party. Health teachers, 99 to 1. Math and science, 87 to 13. Math and science, you have to learn how to reason.
Yeah, you got to think of it.
87 to 13. We're sending our kids to schools
Yes.
where these people are shaping their minds, and our kids are spending more time with teachers than they are with us.
Yeah.
You think parents spend more time with kids than their teachers? They don't.
No.
Parents see their kids in the morning for 30 minutes when you're dropping them off.
Yeah.
At night when they get home after sports or whatever, you only got them for a couple hours. These guys are getting them for 8 hours. So there is the whole reason why we're doing what we're doing with the media company. Like, I'm at the fight, all these guys, we're having all these conversations with people, and like, hey, let me tell you, hey, you did this, and we did this, and I decided to do this, and let me tell you, my kid is doing this, and my kid is doing that. And I'm watching to see what people are saying. Nothing excites me more when I see a guy that says, I've been following Valuetainment since I was 16 years old. I'm now 24 years old. I made $600,000 last year, and let me tell you, my dad this, and those excite me, because that means long-term, there's a community of us that people are watching, and we are more important than you think.
Yeah.
You think it's just about sponsorship and all this other stuff, but they're more sitting there saying, man, I just like these guys, and they think that way. Why don't I think this way? And in a year, 5, 10, 20 years, the only way we can fight against what's going on in our educational system is to have a different venue of getting to them, and this is one of the formats. But
Sure.
eventually, we have to also win in schools. If we don't win in schools, this problem's going to keep reappearing for the next 100 years.
Well, that's why I think a lot of people are moving to private school, are moving to homeschooling, stuff like that. And I think that even bounces out further to a point that I've been trying to make probably the last 3-4 years is, and this kind of ties into the women, the feminist thing, is that like stay-at-home moms, wives are not appreciated enough in a societal setting. Women are only getting, praise when it's like, hey, I want to be a boss lady. I want to have this job. I CEO of Google, this, that. And I'm like, you guys are missing what I feel, at least in my opinion, is the most important role a woman can play, which is a good homemaker, a good mother, because men we don't have it in us. It's just not in our DNA. And that's how you shape a family. That's how you shape the children coming up. So I even think from a man's perspective is that we need to what we can do at least is start respecting, the stay-at-home moms, or start respecting the women that want that at least. I'm not saying that every woman should have to do that, but we got to start showing love to them, because they're the ones that are going to shape everything. They're the ones raising and birthing these children, and there's not enough respect for them.
Well, I think there's an attack also on like the traditional family structure. They don't want that. They don't want a father, a mother, 2, 3 kids. They don't like that, because there's strength in that. There's tradition in that, right? There's numbers in that. So if they can divide that, I think, and even with schools, I feel like I've said this before, but I feel like it went from your parents raising a child, like our parents raised us, they taught us traditions, values, and how to behave ourselves, to now teachers are now raising children. Like you said, when you see your kid for an hour at dinner or after for some sports or stuff like that. So I think that's a problem. And I wanted to ask you, how are you now as a father, knowing that this stuff is going on and having young children? How are you protecting them from this? How are you navigating this?
By openly talking about all of it.
Wow.
Every single thing about it.
Wow.
By going online with my 9-year-old and my 11-year-old son when they were 8 and 10 and reading the history of AIDS and going back and seeing why AIDS was an epidemic in the 80s and how it started.
Yeah.
What caused it? Was it really monkeys, or where did AIDS come from? Let's read it. Let's research it. Oh, wow. Okay. So based on this study, AIDS came from here. Okay. This is not a good idea, guys, just so you know.
Wow.
And then going and looking at, hey, when somebody wants to talk to you about having secrets, there's only a few people in your life that can have secrets with you until you're 18 years old.
Yeah.
And that's your brothers, your sisters, your mom and dad. You can't have secrets openly with people. Like, you got to teach your kids what the whole concept of secrets is. I showed them a video the other day. This is a video of a guy named Jack Reynolds. I don't know if you've seen this or not.
Okay.
Incredible video.
Okay.
It's a video of a child molester who did 12 years in jail, and he got out. And he agreed to be interviewed by a woman on how he was able to get kids that he could take advantage of.
Like his strategy.
You have to watch
What?
this interview.
Jack Reynolds?
Let me tell you.
Write that
Jack Reynolds. I'll give it to you
Okay.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Jack, it's a 2-minute video. And the way he looks, he's looking like this. And by the way, full blown. I can't believe this lady got this video. The guy's dead today. But this was an interview that he did in the 90s, and he went to jail in the 80s for 12 years. He says, first thing I target is coming into the family, and I'll say, listen, if you at all need me to babysit your kids, I'm here to help out. If you need me to do anything. Wow. And he says, parents who don't care and they're not involved, that's my easiest target. He says, who do you not target? He says, if there's a very strong father figure in the family and he's very involved, I don't target them. He says, what else do you not target? If the family's got a strong sense of spiritual and they go to church or God, I don't target them because I have to be careful with them. What do you typically target? I ask them around with their friends to learn more about how their friends are. And if they're kind of kids that they don't talk and I see they can keep secrets, that's also a target of mine. He gives the entire playbook.
Wow.
That's
okay?
crazy.
I watch this with my kids. I said, so what do you think about this? Dad, there's people like that out there. Unfortunately, there is.
Yeah.
And you have to stay strong and you have to have each other's back and you can't fall for it.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to offer you a gift or candy or ice cream or a video game or money or any of this stuff, don't worry about that stuff. We're going to be all right. So, and then we have dialogue.
Yeah.
So explain to me this. So tell me about this. Tell me about that. So for me, it's the conversation we have. I remember one time the kids were younger. My wife gets uncomfortable and she ran out. I said, okay, guys, let's have a conversation together. What's that? We get out of the shower. I said, okay, you ready? Yes. I said, this is my dangling. That's yours. That's yours. Your dangling, only you can touch. Your dangling, only you can touch. One day, a woman that you like will touch it. Till then, it's yours to play with. God gave it to you. This is mine. That's yours. That's yours. And you see them, they freeze because it's like an uncomfortable conversation. My wife just runs out. She's like, oh, shoot. So I said, does this make sense to you? And then you see their conversation, like the follow-up conversations they're asking. And I said, don't worry about it. I was also 6 years old at one point. I was also 8 years old. It's uncomfortable, but you're going to go through it. The other day, one of my kids was going through the puberty class. And, hey, Dad, do you want me to go to this puberty class and teach it? Now, I know who was teaching it because the dean is a very good friend of ours. So I'm like, you're going to be fine. I know who this guy is. He's a Christian guy. It's going to be solid with the values and principles, but they're going to go through this. It's going to be normal. You're a man. I went through it. We're all going to go through it. So the more open you are with this, I was studying this is a crazy statistic, guys, about Indian parents.
Okay.
Did you know Indian immigrants, like from India, Indian immigrants and Indian ethnicity in America, they're the highest earners in America. They make $120 per year. Okay,
I didn't know that.
White Americans was $65,000 a year.
Oh, shit.
Indian Americans, $120. They got a $25,000 lead on second place. Second place was $95,000 a year. So we start going into this data because I visited Mumbai and I was speaking at IIT and I had a great experience. I'm like, why are Indian parents doing so well? U.S. population only account for 1% of the U.S. population, but 8% of CEOs of startup Silicon Valley companies, okay?
Yeah.
1% population, 8%. When they go get degrees, their parents encourage them to go through STEM, is what they target. 72%, 71% is all STEM, science. It's all, they're targeting those industries. And then we went on this website called IndiaParenting.com. And you look at IndiaParenting.com on what's different about having Indian parents. And you notice, number 9 was they're judgmental. Indian parents are judgmental. How is that a good thing? American parents would be like, oh, it's okay. He's just like that. Some people are different. Indian parents would be like, you cannot,
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. And they put the fear in you.
Yeah, fear of God.
So one of the points was they edify the behavior they want. And the other one is they judge the behavior that they don't want their kids to take on. In America, it's like, no, you can't. This bullshit.
That
You
sounds
better
like
get
Italian
involved.
parents, eh?
Well,
That
I mean,
sounds like my
Middle
parents.
Eastern,
Yeah.
Italian, Indian, but some of these qualities are good. But I think, as a parent today, you got to be involved. You got to be willing to talk openly with your guys because if you don't, other people will.